So in this episode, we're going to talk about the three biggest events that happened in 2024 that affected private practices across the country and what we can learn from them and how we can improve and get better in 2025. DermBiz Season 2, let's get started. So the first key event in 2024 that happened that everybody felt, I'm sure you felt it as well in your private practice, is the reduction in Medicare reimbursements. To get specific, there was a 3.37% reduction in Medicare payments that took effect in 2024, compounding a 5-year trend of declining reimbursements. So for 5 years straight, we've been getting these reimbursements. And so punch biopsy reimbursements fell by 3.9%. Benign lesion destruction dropped by 2.8%. Established patient visits dropped by 1.6%. And despite our best efforts in the derm community, these cuts still went on. In fact, all of the advocacy efforts to stop this tide of continually reducing the reimbursements fell on deaf ears. The statistics show that 1,213 members of the AADA sent 3,545 messages to Congress, and these fell on deaf ears. And obviously, we feel the strain of our practice margins because of that. In fact, private practices have experienced a 12.5 to 15.5% profit margin decline since 2024, and this is due to reimbursements and inflation. So what can we learn from this? Well, I can tell you what we've learned from this in our private practice. First and foremost is we realize we have to diversify our payers. We have to find a way to get more non-insurance payments as opposed to specifically relying mostly on insurance. And we've realized that this is going to become an issue every single year. And so if you're in a private practice and your non-insurance payments aren't growing year over year, you're most likely falling behind every year. Number two, the private equity consolidation has accelerated. The statistics show that PE firms control greater than 30% of dermatology markets in 120 metropolitan areas and greater than 50% in 60 metropolitan areas, effectively reducing competition. And it also shows that these private equity companies are targeting aesthetic and cosmetic-based practices, reflecting the PE's pivot to cash pay revenue streams. This is an indication that we as private practice owners need to also be making that pivot to cash pay revenue streams as well. Also in 2024, there were some mega mergers. Platinum Dermatology merged with West Dermatology. Qualderm merged with Pinnacle Dermatology. Waters Edge Dermatology merged with River Chase Dermatology. So there's a lot of mergers going on, and there's a lot of consolidation and acquisitions going on. As a private practice owner, what that lets us know is we have to make sure that we are on point with our financial modeling to make sure that we're profiting, make sure that we're structurally and financially strong so we don't end up being a part of this list of other companies that have been bought out or merged. Nothing wrong with getting bought out and merged when you're ready to sell. Problem is when you fall into financial struggles and you are forced and you become a forced seller. You don't want to be a forced seller because then you have to sell for a price that is below market.
Support for the DermBiz Show comes from EZDerm. If you're a dermatologist or part of a dermatology practice, you know how critical it is to have tools that make your workflow seamless. EZDerm is revolutionizing dermatology with its intuitive EHR solutions, designed specifically to simplify your practice operations and give you more time to focus on patient care. Their system isn't just easy to use, it's built with dermatologists in mind, making it the perfect choice for practices looking to streamline and grow. Want to learn more? Head over to EZDerm.com to see how they can help you elevate your practice to the next level. And here's a little insider tip. Tell them the DermBiz Show sent you. Also, before we jump back in, here's a quick reminder to make sure you're connected with us on all of our other social media platforms. We share other content on those platforms that's going to help you grow and build your private practice. We believe that we need more doctors in leadership positions in private practice ownership, and we believe that our content is going to help you get to where you need to go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all those platforms. All right, thanks for listening, and another big shout out to EZDerm. Now let's get back to the show.
And number 3 is the explosion of teledermatology. In 2024, the global teledermatology market grew to $15.4 billion in 2024. This is up from $2.04 billion in 2021, with a 31.5% compounding annual growth rate projected through 2031. If you are not doing teledermatology, this is probably a good chance to think about it. I know we offer it right now, but it's a very, very small portion of our practice. We want to change that and make it a big part of our practice, just because we see that it is what people want. It's growing rapidly. It's one of the major trends of 2024. And even right now, they say 75% of providers now use teledermatology for follow-ups, chronic disease management, examples like psoriasis or acne or different things like that. So this is becoming very, very common. There will most likely become a day where the majority of these kind of visits are teledermatology visits. So what we're learning from this is we need to market teledermatology more. This is what people want, and we need to give it to them because it creates value, it creates convenience, and it overall just helps the patient experience. So just to recap and give you some actionable steps on what we learned from 2024. Number 1, we want to make sure that we're negotiating our payer contracts and diversifying into cash pay aesthetics and adopting cost tracking tools. Things that we can use to make sure we know what's coming in and know what's going out. Number 2, when it comes to the private equity consolidation and the growth of that, we need to recognize that we still do have advantages as a small private practice. It may be true that private equity companies have economies of scale, but as a smaller private practice, we have something that private equity companies often don't have, which is agility. Because we're small, we can adjust. We can make changes quickly. If we're sitting on our heels and waiting, we're playing into the hands of the private equity companies. But if we're continually adjusting, continually improving, continually trying to see what the patient wants, what the market wants, and giving them that, we can stay ahead of the curve. And number 3, the explosion in telemedicine. If you are not using technology so you can provide telederm appointments, this is the time to start. Telemedicine, in a large way, is the future of dermatology, according to the trends that we're seeing in the compounded annual growth rate that is projected for the next 5 years. So those are the 3 major trends of 2024, and when we can learn from that as private practice owners, I pray that this information has been beneficial to you. We want you to succeed and thrive in your private practice. Feel free to reach out to us if you got any questions or you want us to do a video on something else, and we would love to collaborate with you and interview you on our DermBiz podcast, on our series Behind the White Coat, if you are a dermatologist and want to share your best practices, because we believe if we're coordinating and collaborating and sharing our best practices together, we can thrive individually and collectively as an industry.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the DermBiz Show. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and packed with value to help you navigate the challenges of running your private practice. We'd love to hear from you. Is there a specific topic you'd like us to cover or a question you want answered? Reach out to us at thedermbiz@gmail.com or drop us a message on social media. Your input helps us tailor the show to what matters most to you and your practice. Speaking of social media, don't forget to follow us on all of our platforms for updates, bonus content, and tips to keep your practice running smoothly. And of course, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in today, and we can't wait to have you join us again the next time. Until then, take care, keep thriving, and we'll see you the next time on the DermBiz Show.